Welcome back to the metaverse. Today on our podcast, I have a new friend and special guest, Addison Lily. We met on a YouTube creator course by Sky Cowans called the Soul Creator Course, which I'm a big fan of. And YouTube celebrity Sky Cowans. She's amazing. Um, so Addison, she comes from international background, growing up under a Buddhist and Taoism influence, and educated and formed in New York and Los Angeles. She has a degree in art history and a master's in data science from Columbia University. And now, after a successful career in technology, she is embarking on a new chapter of mindful entrepreneurship. So, Addison, welcome, and how are you doing today?
Hi, Sean. I'm doing great, and I'm so excited to be here. Good to see you again.
Yes, yes. Good to see you too. We're kind of like just having it. It's a natural conversation today, free format, and like let's just start with um a little background about where you're from and just so the audience can kind of relate.
Sure, absolutely. So, like you mentioned, I was born and raised in a city in China. It's called Chengdu, and it's in Sichuan province. It's the hometown of. We're very well known for its pandas, its hot pots, good food. And I went to America when I was 19, and then I did my undergrad there. And after that, I worked and stayed in New York City. And what did I do? And then I had I started my career as a art professional. I was working in commercial international galleries. It was a very glamorous life, any 25-year-old will like, because we go to international art fairs. We have like lots of parties, gallery openings, tons of champagnes and hors d'oeuvres. And you talk to millionaires or multimillionaires about a painting that costs six figures on their wall. And I very quickly realized the disconnection between that reality and my own reality, right? Every night I go back to my little studio apartment. It's like a size of a shoebox in New York. And I was like, what am I doing here? And then so I did my first career pivot into tech. And I went to a really good data science program in New York City. After that, I successfully pivot into technology. And I've been working there for a few years. Again, really lucky, really had a really amazing career there. But then about 4 years ago, a dear friend of mine at the time started to introduce meditation for me, specifically Vipassana. So, for the audience who's not very familiar with Vipassana, I think it's a kind of meditation that you observe your inner thoughts and you pay attention to like very nuanced feelings, sensations, and your thoughts that in your brain, in your head, and in your body as well. So I've been practicing Vipassana since 4 years ago, following Sam Harris. He has an amazing app called Waking Up for anyone who's interested. And we can put these in the show notes as well. So, and that it's like a very life-changing experience. And then 1 year into my consistent meditation practice, I was in Mexico. And again, I experienced this, or I should say, for the first time of my life, I experienced this magical flow experience that as if everything is meant to be. I happen to be in the right place at the right time, meeting the right people. And at that time, I stumbled upon, or I accidentally met this couple who is, one is like one is a Stanford graduate lawyer, very successful lawyer, and then the other one is a tech executive who just made his millions and he's exiting that Silicon Valley world. And I met this couple who had an amazing conversation, and then they offered me the opportunity to join them on a shaman uh, herb plant medicine ceremony. And then
Mhm.
so I just followed that. And then that gave me my very, very first plant medicine experience. And from that was like 3 years ago. And then from there, my whole world just changed. And when I came back to New York, I just feel like I couldn't see the traditional success as the
Mm-hmm.
same as before. And I started to question and then dig deeper into the purpose of like, why am I here? What is fulfilling? Like, what am I trying to achieve? And in order to achieve those things, what are some past trauma I need to face? I need to heal. What are some personal limits I need to get rid of? And then so I went on this journey of like self-healing, self-educating, and self-expansion. And I would say then fast forward to this year, I finally feel like I'm ready. I figured out I can pull the trigger. And then I did. So I quit my job and I joined that course. That's where I met you, Sean. And
Mm-hmm.
I was just immediately drawn to your candidness and your warm energy. And then I remember during our very first community chat, I mean, at least the one that I had with you
Yeah,
guys,
yeah.
like so kind and so generous of sharing your understanding about certain parts of like technology and then what things you like your trial and error. So I just feel very touched about how open and how kind and how generous you are. So that's brought what brought me here.
Well, I'm thank you that you find me this kind and generous and all that. I really am flattered. I'm really excited for what we have to talk about today and all the topics we're gonna go over. And your history is very very interesting. Like you're born and raised in Asia, went to Mexico, lived in New York for a little bit, right? And then you went to Mexico. You had
Yeah,
a spiritual awakening. That's where you did the plant
right.
medicine.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, so I've never done plant medicine. I'm not sure if I ever will do a plant medicine. It's more like in the back burner. I'm not really sure. I'm on the fence
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
I've done psilocybin before, and that wasn't a
Yeah.
good experience for me, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
yeah. So uh, now where are you currently residing?
Right now, at this very specific moment, I'm actually in Asia in my childhood home. We're selling this apartment. We just sold this apartment actually, and so I'm helping my mom to take care of, the afterwards, moving and packing and things like that. And then in a few weeks, I'm gonna move to Amsterdam to start my new chapter with my partner there.
Oh,
Yeah,
congratulations!
and
Yeah,
then
that's
yeah,
sorry.
thank you so much. And
Sorry.
that will be Amsterdam will be my main base, I will say.
Well, that's great. That's great that you're going to Amsterdam. Such a unique place to be. I never.
I know, I
Yeah,
know.
yeah, that's
And it's
interesting.
interesting you said that because in Netherlands, psilocybin is legal, weed is legal, and I'm yet to find out what else is legal, but I think it's a unique place to understand, and then I think it's to take a responsible approach to explore those substance and then what can they do for you.
Hmm.
Right now, we have a lot of researches surfacing up and then validating um, uh, the healing properties of these substance. So I think let's tie back to the comment you made earlier that you had a bad experience with psilocybin, and then I ask you like, what was that, or like, how did you try it at the time? Was it by yourself, or were you with somebody
Well,
else?
I was with people that I trust, and
Mm,
people that I've known for many years, since basically
yeah.
elementary school. So, like,
Okay.
and they're positive people. They're not like people that I was unfamiliar in any way. The only thing that was
Got it.
unfamiliar was the environment because it was some bloody place that just moved. Not like it wasn't like a negative environment. It wasn't like depressing or anything like that. It was more like um I guess my mindset wasn't there. It wasn't like because I was kind of surprised that I was gonna do it that day too, and I was like, was it what? Am I doing this today? It's like okay, I wasn't really prepared for it, but I decided
Right.
because I was talking about it for a while, and I'm like maybe, and I did it, and it was just not the time or not maybe just not for me. I'm not sure, but
Right.
yeah.
And I was wondering, I think you mentioned a very important you mentioned two very important points there. One is that the environment, though not negative, but it was something somewhere you're not completely comfortable with. There are some elements that's kind of making your nervous system feel like you cannot completely surrender or feel safe. So there's this little backstage kind of protection at play to prevent you from a really good transformative experience. And then the second point was your mindset. You mentioned that you're not sure, you're surprised that you're actually doing it that day.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm not sure whether if you heard of this author called Michael Pollan, and he has two really good books that really profoundly changed how I understand plant medicine. One is How to Change Your Mind, and then the second one is This is Your Brain on Plants. And if you're interested, I'm highly recommend you to take a look. So basically, to overly simplify and then to recall from my memory, he mentioned to have a successful or you quote unquote like positive trip, you want to have like a four ingredients. One is that just like you mentioned, with friends that you trust, and then with someone you feel completely, you can feel vulnerable with, and you don't
Mm-hmm.
have to, you feel like there's trust, there's a warmth. And then ideally, not too many, especially if it's your first time. I think one or two is more than enough. And so group setting is not ideal. And two is like you want to be in a safe environment where it could be your own home or it could be like a calming nature that you feel
Mm-hmm.
completely relaxed. And then three is the mindset. Like you want to be in a good mood, you want to be ready. He even recommend doing like a meditation before or even leading up to that like date, maybe doing cleansing meditations or doing like cleansing bodily rituals. And then lastly, I believe is knowing exactly what you're taking, knowing your dosage, knowing the substance, kind of like have control. Because, for example, I'm a small person, maybe certain amount is enough for me, but then for someone who's really big, maybe it's not. So I think I used to, when I first encountered this topic, I used to ask people like, "Oh, have you done it before? Have you done any psychedelics or plant medicine before?" But now, as my understanding grew, I realized that's not the right question to ask. I think the right question to ask is like, if you have done it, what was your environment? How did you do it? Because that really plays a really big important role in there.
Yeah, and I'm not like encouraging anybody to explore psychedelics unless like it's totally that's their decision. But
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I think, like you said, you're not sure whether it's for you or not, or you're not sure whether it's time or not. I think there's, for everybody, I believe, there's an intrinsic knowing. Like someone will feel like, oh, I don't know, I'm not ready. Then listen to that. Listen to
Mhm.
that voice, right? But then if someone's like, oh, I'm very curious, I'm very interested, maybe I am ready. And then for people who are ready, then I recommend reading Michael Pollan's book to get a full understanding of like what to expect, how to prepare for it, how to do it the right way,
Mhm.
maybe under supervise of a medical professional. Because, for example, in California right now, we have certain types of like ketamine. There's a the medical clinic that you can do it with the guidance of a nurse or guidance with a therapist. So that properly, I think that's the way to do it.
Yeah, I agree totally that you should do your research if you're going to explore that route. Now back to meditation. You mentioned a type of meditation that I've heard before, but could you say it again?
Right, Vipassana.
Vipassana. Okay. Um, Now, like when I was exploring different types of meditations, um, like I like dabbled into like cord cutting meditations and opano panu. I think that's how it was called. I think that's opano
What
panu.
is that? Can you expand a little for me?
That one's where you repeat. It's like these words that repeat over and over
Like a
again.
mantra?
It's a man. It's kind of like a mantra, but it's also a meditation. Or I guess it's like kind of more of a prayer that is a mantra that you
Mm.
repeat, but you can meditate on it too. So it starts with like, I'm sorry, please forgive me,
Mm.
And I forgot the third one, and then I think it's like, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and then I think the fourth one's I love you, and then I forgot what the third one was, but I'm yeah.
Got
So
it.
like it's just like basically it's just that over and over and over again,
Yeah.
and yeah, so that's what it translates to.
I recently listened to an Andrew Huberman podcast. You know who's Andrew Huberman, right?
I'm like I said, I'm better with faces to than names sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, sorry. So Andrew Huberman is this neuroscientist who is also, I believe, a professor at Stanford Medical School. And then he has 5.4 million followers on YouTube. And then he has this Andrew Huberman lab where he is on a mission to bring the most scientifically validated tips and tools for people so that they can use those tools to to benefit their own lifestyle. So in this episode, Huberman talks about meditation in a way that I profoundly agree. Basically, he's making a comparison of like meditation with exercise. So, meditation is such a big umbrella term, and then exercise is also a big umbrella term. And someone might say, oh, I like going to the gym, but I hate to do yoga, but they're both considered one type of exercise, right? And then same with meditation. Under this big umbrella term, there are different types of meditation. And then the different type of meditation can help people to achieve different goals. For example, like the one I just mentioned, Vipassana, I believe it's a type of meditation that help you to truly pay attention to train your awareness, to sharpen your awareness, like sharpen a knife, so that you're able to observe what's going on within you. And then you're able to make a conscious choice at certain point. How do you want to respond to that detail? So say if someone come to me and slap my face, right? If without meditation practice, I think I will immediately get triggered and immediately get into like an angry mode, like what the fuck? Like why are you slapping me? Let me hit you back, right? I think that's just normal, that's human.
Yeah.
But then if with meditation practice I can catch myself, I can catch this rage, and I'm like, wait, and then it's almost like you have this superpower to slow down the process and then see exactly how your internal state change at every step of the way. It's like, okay, I got slapped. What happened? Is this person insane? Or is this person like doing it purposefully? And then if this person is insane, what do I do? Do I slap back or should I just let it go? If this person is truly crazy, maybe I should treat it like I don't know, like an animal and then not engage with that, right? So that's just a very extreme example of like what this type of meditation can do for me. But then, so Andrew Huberman also mentioned just allow me to use extremely overly simplified terms. Like our attention is almost like a continuum. At the end of at the two ends of a continuum, one is the interoception and the other one is exteroception. They're basically just fancy terms for interoception is the ability to notice or pay attention to everything happens inside of our body, under the skin, like your mind, your feelings, the blood boiling in your cell. And the exteroception is basically your ability to notice your environment, everybody else, and then everything beyond your skin. So the meditation practice and different kinds of meditation practice is basically training our ability to decide at any given point where we want to be on this continuum. So it's like a training a power, training a muscle. It's like a skill everybody can improve on. I will give you another quick example is like if someone is highly sensitive and then they always feel like this different kind of strong emotions in their body, and then one good beneficial exercise is for them is to do a walking exercise, which is pay dedicated attention to the floor, maybe when they're stepping their foot on it, or
Mm-hmm.
to hear the birds sing around them, or to notice the grass, how green the grass is, or to smell the fragrance, the flowers in the air, that can help them get out of their body, to free their obsession on their worries and anxieties, and then to dedicate their attention into outside world. So in a nutshell, I think it's beneficial for us to know what we want to achieve, and then to find the right method or right type of meditation and to train on that.
Yeah, and like going out into nature just in itself is such a healing, it's such a healing experience, and people just don't go outside enough anymore, I think. Well, at least that's what
So
I believe. Um
yeah,
and like when you're saying like you're basically breaking meditations, different types of meditations to subgenres, kind of like how music is in different subgenres. And I
exactly.
can relate that to music because I'm a DJ, so in my spare time.
Man.
Yeah.
Wait, so tell me a little bit about yourself. Like, so you are a DJ, or you used to be a DJ?
Still a DJ. I DJ on Twitch once in a
Okay.
while. But I don't have gear right this moment because I got rid of it. I sold my gear. But
Okay.
yeah, I know how to DJ. I DJ different genres, mainly psytrance,
Mhm.
synthwave, some house music, basically any type of house music I can DJ. Those are my
Okay.
main genres I like to DJ. But yeah,
Yeah. How did you, or I have there's so many threads we can pull from there.
mhm.
Well, I'm curious, like, how did you discover DJing as maybe one of your passion or one of your, hobbies? Or, yeah, let's start with that one.
So, like I was saying, on the platform Twitch, I don't know if you know what that is. Are you familiar with Twitch at all? So, like, Twitch is basically like YouTube Live, only it's mainly focused on video games. And I was streaming
Mhm.
on there since 2013, and I got involved a lot heavily with different streaming communities.
Mhm.
And influencers on there, and went to many conventions. Like they usually hold it on the west side. It's always on the west coast. It's been in San Francisco was the first one. Then they had one in San Jose, what or sorry, San Diego, then it was Long Beach, and then San Jose, then Las Vegas one time. I went to a few of them, but I was it taught me how to network. It taught me how to get out of my comfort zone sometimes, and not
Mhm.
always was I like my calling. Sometimes I thought it was that, but it wasn't. It wasn't to go to
Mhm.
these conventions. Like sometimes like you have to make sacrifices, and this one time I
Mm.
went, I did make a sacrifice, and I kind of like I shouldn't have went, and it ended in like me having over medicating myself, and I
Mhm.
was traveling. I had to take because I have this like anxiety on planes, and I might have
Mhm.
mentioned this before in like our groups, but the for the reviewers, yeah, I have a deathly anxiety on airplanes, and it's not because like
Mm.
it's not like you can't put logic to it because like it's not like I'm afraid of heights. It's not that. I love
Yeah.
sitting by the window if I wasn't anxious. Um,
Mhm.
it's more of a subconscious anxiety that strikes me like lightning. It's like when the last time I was on a plane when the plane was taken off, I was okay, but when it leveled out, that's when the anxiety just went through the roof. I was like, what's going on? It's more like it's kind of like like claustrophobia when
Yeah.
you have no choice but to like wait it out. That's basically
Yeah.
how it is. Like
There Was there like a early childhood event that planted the seed for this fear, or that
I
you
I don't
cannot?
think so. I think it kind of developed from me being lack on planes is probably one of them. Could be
Mm,
one of them because
mm,
when I was younger, when I was like about 5 or 6, maybe 7 or 8, I went to the Philippines and I slept on the plane. And
Yeah.
I mean, most of the time I was by the window looking out the window, and it was like the best time of my life. I love to
You were
travel. Sorry,
yeah.
what?
You were fine at the time.
Oh yeah, I was
Like
fine. Yeah,
there okay.
but like,
Sorry, I'm really curious now. Like I wonder what happened or when was that beginning point of or when was that or if there's any like critical event that kind of, you
well,
know,
yeah, well, before I can remember being anxious on planes, I
yeah.
developed a few different disabilities, I guess you would say that, or like, yeah, physical and mental. So I developed IBS, so I had irritable bowel syndrome since my first job, which was at a movie theater. I worked at a movie theater, and I developed um, a stomach issue, and that caused a lot of pain, and like it really debilitated my life for many years. And it wasn't until I turned about 29 or 30 till I discovered the supplement that really helped me overcome my irritable bowel syndrome. It managed it
Mm,
so well. It's called it was gut 365 was the supplement I took. And
mhm,
basically that thing it it repaired my gut, but it says 365 because you're supposed to take it 365 days a year. But some people can take it
mhm,
on the first time, and they'll be like, they'll feel better already, and they don't have to take it anymore. So like I was
okay.
taking it like half the recommended dose for 2 weeks straight, and my first test was to go on a boat for 8 hours, and I could barely
Mm,
go outside for like even an hour before, because like I had I had to be near a washroom all the time. So like
I see.
um after that 8 hour boat ride, I felt amazing because I didn't need to go. Like I kind of overcame that part. I have
Yeah.
other things that affect me, but that's one thing. And then like that triggered a lot of anxiety, having that physical disability. And when I developed a
Mhm,
lot of anxiety, it also, like, I was going to parties at the time when I was younger, teens, like, because I was 15 when I first had my first job. And
yeah.
um I was smoking marijuana and alcohol together, and that mix just doesn't work for me. And I don't
That
I don't drink
oh,
alcohol. Do do some THC stuff now, but it's more just to get rid of anxiety. It's actually the opposite.
mhm,
So like
mhm,
um so I yeah, was smoking marijuana, and I drank alcohol together, and then that triggered psychosis, which was, I
mm,
think, the beginning of where this paranoia came from. It was a paranoia,
mhm, mm,
then the subconscious anxiety came in. It was hard for me to maintain work. So I would be do
mhm,
good in interviews because I prepare myself, but whenever something like really busy, or like group like social interaction where it's like really busy, that's where like I get
mhm,
overstimulated, and then the anxiety triggers. And sometimes it's random. It
yeah,
just triggers like just like randomly, and like I have no control over it. But
yeah.
yeah.
I think what you mentioned is quite common among a lot of people. Like, you know, I recently heard someone saying like the healing process or healing journey is non-linear. We can have a couple of really good days, or sometimes we don't get triggered at all. But for some reason, at some point, at some specific little things, maybe it's just not even what's something we're aware of can trigger something all of a sudden. And I wonder, so you mentioned the physical aspect of it. Like, can you give me one example of like a mental challenge that you experienced before?
Yeah, like thinking clearly was really hard when I'm under a lot of stimulation. So like I couldn't write like logically for a while. Especially when I was on medication, it was like affecting my thought process. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I've come a long way. I've like, because before I was not as well spoken as I am now. Like I wouldn't say I'm like where I want to be, but yeah, like I think that it was like a lot of trial and error with the medication that I was on, and
Yeah.
it really affected a lot of different parts of my body, and
Mm.
the way I would think. So yeah.
Yeah. I thank you for sharing that. Thank you for your vulnerability. Again, I think that's something like over medicated. It's a phenomenon we know that's a problem in the Western societies. And the reason I ask you about these challenges is because there's this belief that, those like hurdles in life we experience, be it physical or be it mental, they can all serve as a purpose, like either to break us open so that we can like uh, experience or try or do something different, or it can like challenge us to see if we can push us to like a better direction or something like that. I think I saw a quote before. It says like people change in four circumstances. The first one, if they're hurt enough. And then the second one is that if they see enough, if they know enough, so they are inspired to. And then the third one is like if they have enough, then they're able to. Or, yeah, this is the time I should. It will be really good flex that I can come up with the fourth one, but, like,
Hmm.
I don't think I can recall the fourth one.
That's
But
okay.
what I resonated very strongly was the first one. Was like, if people are hurt enough, so they have to make a change. So I wonder, like, did any of those, painful either physical experiences or mental challenges make you wanna change that condition? Make you wanna, I don't know, break through your own limitation and then to become like a better version of yourself.
Oh yeah, for sure. That like being like having a debilitating health issue really made me want to like, and even when the doctor said there's no cure, there's like nothing that you can do that will get rid of it. You have
Mm.
to live with it, type of thing. And I'm
Mm,
like,
mhm,
there's got to be something. Like anything's possible.
mhm.
There's got to be something that's gonna be at least make me manage it enough where it doesn't even affect me. And that's basically what I
Right,
did. I was able to get that supplement and maintain a more livable life. I wouldn't
right,
say it's like
right.
perfect, but like like it's way better than it was. Um,
Yeah, I
but
love that.
yeah, I just
I
like
think,
it's a lot of like you're going on your own journey, and you have to go through these experiences just to know what what works and what doesn't work.
yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree. I think there are 3 sub-thread I kind of want to pull from what you just mentioned. The first one was like, everyone is going through something, but don't give up. Like, don't think, oh, don't take the doctor's words for it, right? Because the doctor's knowledge is limited. Maybe they don't know there's other therapy, other like options out there. So I love that you just didn't believe the doctor and then think there gotta be something, there must be something. And then, so from here, I'm curious, like, why do you believe that? Because some people will say, oh, the doctor already said that, maybe there's no other cure, you know? Like, why do you feel, or what is feeling that self-belief?
Well, one, I didn't want to live like that for the first
Mhm,
thing. And second,
mhm.
like I just thought like if alternative medicine could work, why
Yeah,
not give it a chance, right? If like if there is like if like they say you only have this much time to live and you prove them wrong, that's like a really good
mhm,
feeling that you get and you get to
yeah,
live. So, um there's that. So like I've gotten
definitely.
many second opinions from different
Mhm,
doctors, and I found my answer because the first one wasn't looking in the right direction. It's like not
right,
every doctor, like everybody has blind spots in their
yeah,
education and
absolutely.
or what their knowledge is limited to. So like just seeing just finding that person is probably the hardest thing. in or whatever. It might not even be a person by finding the answer to whatever you're looking for. Like I like to say
Yeah.
this, like I quoted myself a little bit, to find the right things, you have to be looking in the right spot to know the right answers. You must ask
Mm.
the right questions. So I don't. Maybe somebody
Mhm.
else asked said that too. I'm not sure. I just said it my own way. Um, yeah. So there's
I
like,
love it.
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, no, didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh,
Please
I
finish
was
your
like,
sentence.
I was I kind of lost what I was saying, but anyway, he's picking up from here.
Uh, well, maybe it will come back in a second, but definitely, I think this you kind of summarized my second, like, and third points that I wanted to mention earlier. One is that, like, right now we live in an age of information age. Like, literally, any answer is possible by searching on internet. So I think we should definitely take advantage of that, and then just keep that hope or keep thinking that it's possible, and then don't take the first opinion as the truth, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
the truth is out there. And then my last point was, there are a lot of, I think the Western science and technology is catching up with the old ancient Eastern wisdom. I'm not saying, like, Eastern things is better than the Western. I think I come from a multicultural background, and I lived in many places in the world, and I saw the essence or the beauty and then the best part of each culture. And I think, why not? Why can't we just utilize them all and then disregard? Let's don't pick a camp. Let's don't say I'm American, so I don't want to try acupuncture because that's from stupid China, right? Or like I'm Chinese, then I'm gonna reject anything like the Western medicine or the Western great surgeries or things like that. I think living in an international or global world, we should reap the benefit of, like, having the
Mm-hmm.
wisdom of every corner of the world. And I love that you mentioned alternative medicine, because recently, actually right now, I'm undergoing a acupuncture journey that I have like 8 more to go. Basically, the doctor will point needles. Have you tried acupuncture before?
I have, yeah. I've done acupuncture. I've done fire cupping. I've done a lot of things for my back mainly. Yeah,
Did
but
it work for you?
it 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 does do pain relief. But it was only temporary for me. I wouldn't say it was permanent. But I would say if you're gonna do acupuncture and it works, then
Mhm.
strengthen whatever muscle or part of your body you need to, because it's not to be used as it's more of a not a band-aid, but like it's more of like a help, it pick you up to get you to get
Facilitator.
strength again, in my
Yes.
opinion.
I would agree. And I think because the underlying philosophy of these modalities, or Eastern medicine modality, is that to find a way for you to live with your discomfort, to find a way for you to live with this quote unquote disease. Like, different from the Western uh, deductive method, which is like, we need to find where the disease is and we need to get rid of it. So and then the Western scientists recently find out that's a very ineffective way, to be honest, because human body is like a holistic, interconnected, intercommunicating system. So the Eastern philosophy is like, because it's holistic, because it's interconnecting, so let's find a way to bring it to a harmonious state. So even though it's there, but we can live with it. We can still have some sort of like a happy, fulfilling, we can still live this quote unquote normal life, then that's okay. So that's why the Eastern medicine is usually good for chronic diseases, or um, as a part of your lifestyle. And they not only emphasize on using that technique, for example, that needle in your skin, but also there's diet you need to follow, you need to pay attention to. There's a certain amount of exercising you need to incorporate in your lifestyle. It's like a whole thing. So I think now I can see this trend of Eastern and Western medicine kind of emerging into some sort of a common ground of like being living a healthy physical life is not just this one thing. It's not, it's like taking a pill or only paying attention to diet is not enough. It has to be like some sort of holistic health system.
Yeah, you need to have the full spectrum of everything for it to really see the full effects if you want like
Yeah,
if you want change. And
definitely.
it will like it's kind of like having an Oreo without the filling. You just have the outside and you don't have the inside. So,
Yeah,
but
that's
yeah.
quite funny. I'm curious. Sorry, do you want to say something?
No, 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 go ahead.
Right. I think I was just trying to say, like, it could feel, overwhelming because all of a sudden there are so many things that we need to pay attention to, or so many like health habits we need to incorporate. But I wonder, throughout your own journey, like, if you have to name like a few critical like strategies you've taken or critical steps you've taken to better your own life,
Hmm.
could you share what are?
Well, before we started this podcast, we did mention a little bit about ikigai or ikiga, which maybe you can go a little bit into explaining what that is.
Yeah. Okay. So, again, allowing my non-scientific, non-official explanation of ikigai, just recalling from my own memory, is
Hmm.
that ikigai is this ancient Japanese concept of like finding the overlapping area of three critical parts. The first part is what the world really needs from you or really need right now. And then the second part is like, what is your biggest strength? What can you offer to the world? And lastly is like, what is something that can generate like a reasonable income or to sustain one's, life or cost and things like that. So to find that perfect overlapping of these three area, and then that middle part, that overlapping part is ikigai. So that defines one's purpose, mission, and then that can sustain someone to go on with this mission and also do good for oneself, good for the world, and for oneself.
And one could probably explain that as well as like a dharma. Like the ikigai could be your whole dharma if you know what the word
Mm,
dharma means. Like you hear Sir Hera Rose's her philosophy. I guess I don't know if it's her philosophy, but it's her book. I think it was. I forgot what it was called, but I'm not gonna quote it. But anyway,
It's okay.
um,
We can add that in the notes.
yeah, I was gonna go back and talk about something that we talked about, but I totally forgot what it was. That's
Yeah, because
okay.
I was asked, like, what I was asking, were there any like critical steps that you could recall to bring you closer or to bring you to the like say Sean 2.0 from 1.0, right? And I think that's relevant to what you're mentioning about ikigai. It's basically maybe how did you find your way towards your ikigai or
I believe that
um
I'm still going through that phase of finding my
mm,
ikigai because I know what I'm good at. I know
yeah.
things that I'm good at. I know what the world needs, but
Mhm.
I the finance part is just not my expertise because implementing it's kind of like having uh a square for a tire. It's like I can't go anywhere with it, you know. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, I'm kind of stuck there a little bit. But I kind of I have some ideas of what I want to do with that. But like
Yeah.
working on myself, like self work, it's from
Yeah.
Sean 1.0 to 2.0. I believe I've come a long way, especially from what I was maybe about 5 years ago. I don't know what year that would be 2020,
Mhm.
2019. Like, even when I started the
Mhm.
podcast, I've come a long way already. And yeah, I've grown I've grown mentally, physically, spiritually. I was going to the gym for a while. I haven't gone in I
Mhm.
have gone. I went last week, but like um I just saw more importance of how like physical fitness is so important in our lives, and
Yeah.
how like if you're not working out or like doing any type of
Mhm.
exercise, then your
Mhm.
brain will start playing tricks on you. And it's also the
Yeah.
part where it's telling you not to work out and be lazy and
Yeah.
stuff like that. It's not
Yeah.
even it's that's just that's the biggest one, but like it also like I think it affects you in your whole world. So when you don't exercise for a while, it your brain starts playing tricks on you, and I believe you get more rewards in life when you work on your physical like like your avatar.
Yeah.
It helps make you think better and you feel better, and the overall best part is you look better. So
Absolutely.
there's no downfall from exercising, but I understand people who have challenges to doing certain type of exercises. Like I had some knee issues recently.
Mhm.
I recently developed psoriatic arthritis, which I might have had for a couple of years. I don't know, but I got diagnosed with it, and basically what that means is you have a lot of inflammation in, like, for me it was in my knees, and I couldn't go to the gym. At least I couldn't go to the gym and work on my do legs, and that's what I needed to do the most because that's where the pain was coming
Mm.
from. And
Mm.
uh, that's a story in itself. I'm not gonna go too deep into that, but
Yeah.
basically, I got the relief I needed to get, and yeah, it was a long process. And when you're looking for answers with doctors, don't
Mm.
don't put that, like, don't put it aside. Like, that's very, like, your health is your wealth. Your health is very important. Make sure that make you make
Absolutely.
that a priority, and
Yeah.
get the help you need, because if I took longer to get the right doctor, like I get a referral from my family doctor to see a specialist, and
Mm.
then they even send me another specialist. So like it's a long process, and it's good to
Mm.
like get these things done as fast as you can because they take a long time.
Absolutely. I love the two main things you touch upon there. One, exercise is the best gift you can give your brain. Again, I'm a big podcast consumer, so recently I consumed another episode of, I think, the Diary of a CEO. And then in the podcast, the host interviewed the New York University professor. She's a brain expert. Just I'm really bad at names. I don't know her names here, but she did her entire career on brain research. And then that's the advice she gave everyone. She said, like, just exercise every day. It's maybe not long, but like for 30 minutes. And then you can, uh, your brain can create these natural chemicals that's gonna not only support brain cognition functions, but also everything of your skin. And it's like you're creating your own youth drugs. So if you want to, this is better than any anti-aging products, the topical anti-aging product that
Mm-hmm.
anyone can put onto your skin. It's something from within, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a machine. If you work it, not only your brain is working, but then your internal body, your blood is going through, the oxygen is being sent to your the cells of your body to help with the regenerative process. So that's definitely really, really important. And then she recommend just like 30 minutes a day to get to a level that you're slightly sweating, and then that's enough. So that naturally brings me on to the second point that you were saying. It's like finding and choosing the right exercise for yourself so that you can enable your body instead of like making some parts maybe already have a little bit of ache or a little bit of fatigue worse, right? And I don't know whether you've tried Pilates, even like mat Pilates. They are known for low impact on your body. So maybe that can be of consideration to work on your legs. And
I have
as I'm talking, oh, sorry, Go
I
ahead.
have tried Pilates, and
Mm,
it was it was not a very cheap course for me, so I didn't continue with it. I just have a gym membership now, and I just like to go on my own time, and I should go more often. I really should. I need to do that. Um,
right.
but
And again, there are like two types of Pilates. One is the, I think what you referred to is like kind of on the machine, and that kind of like a, I don't, maybe that's the traditional type. I'm not sure, but like I know we with a machine, and then that's like really effective. And there's a second type is called mat Pilates. That's what I was referring to.
mhm.
Basically, you're doing that on the yoga mat. You can do it at home. I'm doing that at home every day. I follow
Oh, okay.
this um, fitness instructor, Melissa Wood.
Mhm.
That she's a woman, but like I'm sure YouTube is our university. We can find anything on YouTube. So maybe give that a try. It's as effective if it's, in my opinion.
All right. Yeah, I'll give that a search, see what I can find for mat Pilates. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I just want to like go back a little bit. You're talking about you have a background uh growing up with Buddhism and Taoism influence. Now, what was that
Hmm.
like? And like, do you still practice or believe in any of that? Like I have a Taoism tattoo or Taoism, the yin and the yang. Only it's in
Yeah.
color. I got in color, so I like that.
All right. Nice. Right. So I would say like the reason I said like I'm under the influence instead of like that's a religion that I really believe in. It's because I grew up in China. It's a culture where we have thousands of years of history and the wisdom. So it's inevitable that that's kind of penetrated in our language already. There are Buddhist thinking, there's Taoist way of living, right? The emphasis on balance. We see traditional Chinese medicine everywhere, which the foundation is the balance of yin and yang, the chi and the energy and all those concepts. So I'm very familiar with those concepts, but I never took like a very studious or like I never examined them as like religion. I just
Hmm.
looked at them as some sort of a philosophical concept. And for me, my I think this is a perfect opportunity to highlight the difference between spirituality and religion for a lot of listeners because I think when we right now we are on the wave of a spiritual awakening. A lot of people, or it's common, and I can say I think it's understandable that people are mixing these two words together because there are some overlapping or similarities between these two concepts. However, I truly believe spirituality and religion are two completely different things. Here, I would like to quote one of my favorite author, Elizabeth Gilbert, who is the author of Eat, Pray, Love. This book was a sensational international bestseller a few years ago. But in the book, she mentioned the spirituality is like it's the I should say the type of spirituality I believe and she so I would say the type of spirituality I believe and Elizabeth Gilbert believed in was a kind of belief system that you can cherry pick. You can cherry pick anything that you think is aligning with what you truly believe.
Hmm.
Meaning, for example, if someone, for I will use myself as example because I think I can speak to it. So, in the spiritual community, some people will have the ability to see others' aura. I can't. I don't
Hmm.
have that ability. Some people can speak light languages. I couldn't. I can't activate. But what I did experience was I experienced this feeling of like there's like a massive, huge, universal, big love out there. And that love is unconditionally supporting me. That's what I experienced. So I believe in that. So to get back to a little bit about my background and my spiritual awakening is I try to avoid this word because, again, I think a lot of people have their have some biased opinions or like conceived notion about this idea. And for me, I think being growing up in an Asian household, a non-religious Asian household, growing up, um, like I would say, I had traditional Asian values, which is like very practical,
Mhm.
and especially studied science. So I'm like a science, uh, um, for lack of a better word, like I believe in science, right? I root myself in scientific research and that kind of world. And I don't believe I was a New Yorker. I don't believe in any of a woo woo or that kind of uh, things. So I only become spiritual because I experienced what I was looking for. So
Mhm.
I mentioned in Mexico, I had my first plant medicine ceremony. At that time, I was experiencing extremely like devastating heartbreak from a relationship, and then followed by my falling apart with my parents. I had no support at all during the middle of a pandemic. I was extremely alone in a foreign country. My Spanish is in the garbage. I can't order food in Mexico. So it was like horrendous experience. So in that bottom of my life, I had this deep desire to seek unconditional love because I felt like all my parents' love was built on my achievements. I have to get certain jobs, get into certain schools, make certain money, or carry certain image to exchange my parents' love and care. So that makes me want to break free from that conditional exchange. So
Mhm.
I was clearly seeking unconditional love at the time. So I did and then also at the time I was still consistently meditating because meditation was a kind of soothing mechanism for me at the time to manage my own emotions and then to stay grounded. And I went into that ceremony with a very clear mind that I need to seek unconditional love. And then that's exactly what I got from that experience. So from that, from there, when I got out of that trip, I was extremely lucky that I have friends who are very responsible and then very experienced. And then they just told me I need to go through integration. And then for your audience who, if they're not familiar with what integration is, basically this is like a period after you had any huge, meaningful psychedelic trip or like a download. And it doesn't have to be psychedelic. It doesn't have to be plant medicine ceremony. It just as long as you have a meaningful insight. It could be coming from a movie. It could be
Mhm.
from someone's story. After that, you integrate with your own belief system. You rewrite your own narratives. You reprogram yourself to believe in new things and then to really execute with the new belief. So I did like about 3 to 6 months of that. And then that created a long lasting, beneficial, positive impact on my life. So that's why I was like, oh, I guess I can see, now I understand through my own experience what spirituality is, what some people were talking about. But
Mhm.
again, I think spirituality is such a big word, and we lack a collective you know, vocabulary to describe what that is because everyone's experience is so different because
That's very
what
true.
everyone's seeking is so different.
Yeah, like it's so unique to each individual what people have experienced or what they can experience because like you said before that you don't have the gift of seeing auras or have the gift of have light language but some other people do. So that's like I like to believe that everybody is on their life journey and everybody has their own purpose, and that's why we have different people for different things. And
Yep.
and where was I going with this? Sorry.
Now, like, then I want to ask you, what do you think is your spiritual superpower, or what have you experienced to help you awaken or have a positive impact on your life?
That's a good question. What is my spiritual superpower? I have a few actually. If I think about it, one, I'm good at noticing synchronicities, and especially it first came with numeral synchronicity, numerology, angel numbers. I
Mhm.
was noticing a lot of that, and tapping into calling like angel guides when I go into a bookstore and I'm looking for a book. If I don't find that book, I'll find a book that's better. And usually I do find the book I'm looking for in a matter of seconds, and I don't even really read too many books. I'm more of an audiobook person, but like I go there to find something that like has an answer for me, and I'll find something that's either similar to it or maybe even completely
Yeah,
different, but it's what I needed at the time. And I just find that
yeah,
so interesting how I'm like able to do that. So that's one
yeah.
thing. Um, Putting me on the spot here, I can't think of anything right now, but
That's
that's a few.
incredible. That's incredible. I think the ability to notice synchronicity is almost like I noticed that as well for myself. It's definitely a superpower. I want to know, what have you done to cultivate this ability, or does it just come naturally, or just like one day you realize, wait a second, I'm pretty good at noticing this, or have you done something intentionally to strengthen this ability?
I I don't think I have done anything really like I guess I slow down a bit. Maybe I slow down because
Mhm.
if I'm going too fast on certain things, then I think you're gonna miss a lot of things. Um, yeah, just slowing
Absolutely.
down your thought process.
How did you slow down? I think we're on to something.
Well, especially when I'm driving, I don't drive slow, but
Mm,
I I I breathe slowly. That's one thing I do. Um,
mm.
yeah, so I breathe slowly, and I yeah, I guess that's like it's just like it starts off with the breath. I don't really know how to explain it other than that.
Would you say like you are a sensitive person?
I think I became more empathic. I met like
Mhm.
one of my exes was very empathic and very sensitive,
Mm,
and I think that
mm,
that energy transferred over to me, and
mm.
sometimes I wish I wasn't as sensitive.
Yeah,
It became more clear that I was after that
yeah,
exchange. So
yeah,
yeah, I wasn't as sensitive before. I was more I guess angry sometimes. Not always. I wouldn't say always, but like instead of like taking things so personally, like as like an
mhm.
empath would, then or like feeling into things. The only thing I would say
Right.
is with the medication that I'm on, it does affect with my emotions a bit, like my ability to
Mm,
cry and to like to let go
mm,
of like these bottle up things. I would
mhm,
love to release more, but it's
mm.
hard for me to let that energy out because the medication that I'm on. I That's what I think it is.
Yeah. Well, the reason I'm asking this question is because, one, I think earlier we mentioned about this like continuum of like introspective and then the extrospective ability, right? So I think being able to have very detailed, nuanced sensitivities is actually a strength. It's just like, as the owner of this skill, we need to develop or strengthening our control of it. Like, it's almost like the ability to feel is amazing, but hopefully we can develop like a dimmer. Like sometimes let's feel it. Like say when we are watching a movie,
Hmm.
let's feel what the characters are feeling and then just let go. Use that as an outlet to let your tears pour and let your, all the emotions out. And sometimes when we're like, I don't know, maybe uh during our professional lives or in school, and then we can kind of zoom out a little and then dim that ability, like control that a little bit tighter so that we don't get overwhelmed about certain feelings that all of a sudden come up. And what you just mentioned, the medicine part of it, is that's the medicine for your IBS, right? And then the
No,
side
no,
effects is
no.
to something
It's
else.
it's more of a mental thing. It's with
Got it.
the psychosis and stuff like that.
Got it. So my close family actually, well, one of my close family members actually has a very similar experience with you. Like they were diagnosed when they were like very little as kids. Like they have like maybe not psychosis, but like ADHD, and so the doctors has to put them on like medicine to tame their nature. But then recently, as the science has shown, that's just one type of brain, not necessarily a disease or you know um, a kind of like a disadvantage. It's just like a different type of brain. And so this friend of mine, or this family member of mine, they develop like from a very young age, the resistance of this medicine. They hate it, and because they feel similar to you, like kind of sorry, not dumb, dull their emotion. They feel very bottled,
Hmm.
and now they're fully get, and then they just completely they develop life skills to get rid of the medicine. I'm not making any suggestions. Obviously, I'm not a doctor. I'm not, trying to give you life advice or medical advice. You know yourself the best. But I think for you and then for all your audience, um, it's like we know I hope from the bottom of my heart that you can find some healthy ways or modalities for you to release, to express your emotions and then your desires and whatever that is, because you deserve that. Because that's a healthy way to just be. It's part of being a human.
Yeah, I feel like um also part of it is environment. Like if I had my own place, because I live with
Mm,
my parents, if I had my
mm,
own place, I could probably express more of my
mm,
emotions. Because I'm not saying I'm coming from a strict household. It's just like when
mm.
I express, especially laughter, I get yelled at
Yeah.
because I am too loud. It's like I'm not. I'm
Mm,
like out of all my friends, I'm the quietest one, and
yeah.
that's a reason why. One reason why. And also I used to be on a mood stabilizer, and that really zombified my emotions. I got off of mostly
Mm,
all my medications for my
mm,
mental health, except for one.
mm,
I'm only on one now,
mm.
and that actually has
Mm.
positive side effects
That's
overall
great.
than negative side effects, which is good. But I
Okay.
think some things have permanently done damage, where I think that um, it will be hard to recover from. That I don't
Yeah.
want to discuss about, but yeah.
Yeah. I think that's I'm definitely sure you're not alone. Like even among my closest friends that I know a handful of them have this similar experience with medication, um, and that impacted their emotions and all that. And I think that's why, again, like we mentioned earlier, this alternative medicine or alternative lifestyle or this kind of um, wisdom from different parts of the world, right? Like I had my plant medicine ceremony in Mexico, but then that's not just like a Mexican thing, it's a South American thing. If you go to Peru, if you go to um, not even South American, if you go to Bali, they have similar things too. So I think those gems are sprinkled across the world. It's just like a matter of like if we can find them and if we can find the right modality for us. And I think sometimes like certain things are very deeply rooted. We have things we're aware of that we have yet the opportunity to work on. And then we have things that is below the ice that we can't even see. We don't even know that existed. I will
Mm-hmm.
share a little bit of a minor episode. Like recently, I'm in my childhood home, even though I grew up here, but like my main formative years are in the Western world. So a large part of me feel like I'm experiencing the city as a foreigner. And I was biking from my mom's apartment to the apartment I'm staying with. It's about like a 15, 20 minutes bike ride. And I'm singing. And as I'm singing, I don't know why, I just want to cry. I'm
Hmm.
in the public, I'm surrounded by people, and those tourists there, and I just want to cry. I don't know why. And then if I look at my life, I would say, I actually consciously, I have a really good life. I have great parents, I have good friends, I'm in a good place health-wise, finance-wise, but there's something, I must be suppressing something. How, I don't know where the sadness come from. So again, I think that's just like a simple example to say, like, I believe every one of us is this beautiful, complex being that have many layers, many facets, much depth. And part of the journey and a part of this quest, I think, of life is to uncover our own layers, to examine ourselves so that we can, one, like, accept it, love it, and then if we don't like it, don't accept it, work on it, change it, because this is our life. And then only when we become the version of ourselves that we are at peace with, we love and we celebrate, we can bring that light to everybody around me. We can make a positive imprint on the world. So
I totally
I think
agree
that's my,
with what you said. That was a great little segment there. I'm gonna wrap this up pretty soon, just because of time. But
yeah.
if there's anything that we haven't covered that you wanna discuss before we end, um, feel free to lead.
Yeah, I think we covered a lot of very important topics. We talked about the difference between spirituality and the psychedelics. We talked about how certain challenges that, from both of our life experiences prepared us to become the better version of ourselves, and the Western lifestyle versus the alternative lifestyle or options out there. And certain, I think one last thing I want to quickly touch upon is the different type of meditations that we can benefit from. So I think at the beginning I mentioned the Vipassana, which is like a kind of observing non-judgmentally about our feelings and thoughts and all that. And I think another example, or I just want to throw some names out there. So maybe if people are interested, they can search themselves. There's this um, kirtan. It's a singing meditation. It comes from like a Hindu tradition, but
Hmm.
it doesn't have to be religious. It's basically singing. You're half Filipino, so I make this assumption that your family or yourself enjoy singing and karaoke or that sort, or no,
Um,
that's just a stereotype.
I mean, it's my mom would love to do it more, but she doesn't. But yeah.
Right. So what I would like to look at singing meditation or kirtan is like you sing, the original form was sing some sort of like mantra, like a sing songs that dedicated to their gurus. But I've been to many of these, and then they all tell me like, you don't have to know the lyrics, you don't need to know the mantras for the gurus. If you don't believe, if you're not a Hindu, you don't even need to, like, think about their deities. You can just hum along with the melody. And every time I do that, I feel a rise of my energy. I feel I always leave with like elevated state of mind. I feel so happy. It's like a release, like a healthy release,
Hmm.
very similar to when I like had karaoke. So I think that's another way for people who, if they are interested in singing or if they want to explore, like we also mentioned walking meditation. That's a good way to get out of the body and to pay attention to the surroundings. There's also dance meditation, like from Sufism, that have like a swirling meditation. It's basically you swirl. Again, it's the idea of like getting us out of our busy analytical mind into our bodily sensation, into our awareness of the surrounding. And then there's contact improvisation, which is like dance within silence with, or with, you can be alone or with the partner, but allow your body to express freely, and then to express, to communicate through your bodily touch without any sexual connotation. So just to throw a bunch of names out there, and they each can serve different purposes.
All right. Yeah, I love looking into different types of meditations that are out there. I just want to throw another one, like just like when you're even when you're doing dishes or anything like that, like just like you can just like in silence, or like you can meditate like working on something, like
Yes.
it's just as long as you're meditating on something,
Yeah,
then it's a benefit. So yeah, there's
definitely.
so many different types of meditations. Anyway, thank
Yeah.
you, Addison Lily, for your for being on the podcast today. And it was a great conversation. And that's it, everybody. Take care.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I had fun.